Annihilator presents Bowzone Live is brought to you by Annihilator Broadheads and these fine sponsors.
Welcome to Bowzone Live, presented by Annihilator Broadheads. I'm Tom Gazzola. As we get set for Season 3 of Bowzone Live, we're going to do something a little bit different today. Call it a preview episode. A few weeks ago, we gathered some of our hunters and set them up by the fire to talk about some of their favorite topics heading into the season, target bucks, ethics, which is always important when hunting whitetail in the Bowzone, and much, much more. So let's join Ryan and the gang by the fire.
We finally got everybody together here. We've got a great Bowzone Live crew. We had an amazing season last year, probably impossible to beat. We got the crew here now, so let's go around the fire and introduce everybody. First, Daryl.
Yeah, I'm Daryl. I'm back for Season 3, my second season, but hopefully we can all get it done, and good luck to all you guys.
Yeah, I'm Taylor. This is my second season. Didn't get anything last year, so hopefully I can contribute something this year, so we'll get after it.
I'm Mike, back for my third season. Same thing, didn't get it done last year. Had opportunities, just couldn't finish on them. So, see what happens.
I'm Keith, I'm here, this is my third season. Last year I tagged out on a nice whitetail. Boom! I worked hard for that one, spent 80 hours in the stand, but it was well worth it. Hopefully we can do the same thing this year.
I'm Logan. Third season on Bowzone Live. It's an absolute riot to be a part of. Had an awesome year last year. I'm not sure if I'm ever going to get anywhere close, but I'm really looking forward because I got some pretty wicked bucks on cam. So it's going to be a good year.
Hi, I'm Michelle, and this is my second season with Bowzone Live. And yeah, I shot a buck last year, third last day of the season. So grinded all season. It was a ton of fun, and I'm excited for this year.
I'm Scott. This is my third season, and I am actually going to shoot a deer this year, unlike the last
12.
There you go, buddy.
12 years. It's 12, if anybody wants to know. 12.
You'll get it done.
There's only 5 cameras here, so I think we got that.
I'm Heather. It's my third season with Bowzone Live, and I've been fortunate enough to shoot bucks both years. Hopefully that's not going to jinx me for this year. And knock on wood. And this crew is just a really good group to work with, and the camaraderie is awesome. So.
And I'm Kevin. This is my same thing. Heather and I have been with now. This is into our third season. I managed to score last year, but we'll see. We don't really have too many target bucks lined up, but we're really excited to see what happens this fall.
Also joining a new member, Sam.
Hi, I'm Sam. I'm the new guy. I'm the new old guy of the group, and I'm looking forward to a very cold November.
Sam comes from the old guard in the Bowzone, so you guys like Jim Hold, Jay Kemp, and a lot of the guys that you grew up hunting with. So it's really cool to have Sam here because this is basically the second chapter of a very big group of Bowzone hunters. So it's awesome to have Sam. Sam had a pretty bad tree stand experience, and now is still out there in the field hunting and is a fish wildlife officer, conservation officer. I call them fish cops, but that's what I call them. So, and we're pretty excited to see his Argo, his machine, the way he gets out into the field, what he does to get out there and still bow hunts whitetails. So I'm really happy to have you on the crew. I think it's awesome. You're a great addition, and I can't wait to see some of the stories that come out of your camp.
Thank you. I'm excited about it.
Okay, so it's October 22nd, and things are starting to heat up. I know that you got into a stand probably a week and a half ago, or maybe it was 2 weeks ago, and you've already got bucks coming into a scrape or some kind of magic grass in there. I don't know what's going on, but whenever you sit somewhere, I'm always worried because giants are going to die. What's going on?
It's just the slough grass. They feel really secure in that there right now. They're getting into the pre-rut season, the pre-rut patterns, and they're not there yet, so they like the tall slough grass. They feel really safe in there, because I asked a question to a lot of different guys now, and I think Kevin was even the one who gave me the answer to that, but because I always wondered, it's almost like there was something magical going on in there, because they're running around like baby deer. They're just going nuts when they get back into the slough grass area. So they started moving in there pretty good, and I want to say 10 o'clock this morning, we started here. I had my camera go off, and I got a 5x5 in front of it this morning, but he knew where the camera was. He's looking right at it.
And we've got some video, I think, of Daryl early season in that same stand. He killed the giant with bucks, like 4 or 5 bucks, like all around you?
There was 7.
7 bucks? That's nuts. I feel sorry for the next guy that has to say what they have in the season that's going on. Like, I don't know if Taylor has 7 bucks under a stand right now, but I do know that Taylor has, like, what, 3 or 4, like, crazy whitetail buck kills from when you were a kid? Like, how old are you when you started bow hunting with your dad?
Oh, yeah, 12.
So 12, right?
Yeah,
The money?
yeah.
And then there's an epic kill. He shoots a doe, and then the buck comes in, shoots the buck also.
Look at that. There's the buck, there's the doe. Too cool. They died within 15 yards of each other.
I had a big one that I was chasing last season and up until this year, but the neighbor shot him back in September. My main target buck's been taken, so I guess my plan B is just to hunt as close as I can to Ryan Kohler's properties and hope when he overpressures them, maybe they filter into my spots, and then I'll take them.
Mike, how's it going?
Oh, it's going.
How's the tree saddle? Let's talk about the tree saddle. I know that the soft hands, sunglasses, tree saddles.
Yeah.
This is sort of
That's
your
slowly.
thing. We've nicknamed you Corey Hart.
I see.
Which is okay. You got to own it, right?
Yeah, fair.
It's good. Hey, you get a nickname.
Yeah.
That's cool.
The French Corey Hart.
The French Corey Hart, even better. So what's going on? I know you did some scouting. You went for moose.
Yeah, been after moose. Haven't really sat much for whitetails at all. I think I've done like half a dozen sits, maybe even a handful of sits. Had a shooter last night on one property, just stuck behind the thick stuff, wouldn't come out. Other than that, it's been kind of
cool. He'd come out if you were in a regular tree stand? I'm just wondering. I've never actually used the saddles.
I mean,
we're all here to learn.
We could know, yeah. But anyway, but yeah, lost one of my fields. Canola had second growth. They tilled it right over.
Okay, Keith. I mean, let's be honest here. Keith has basically an area in the Edmonton Bowzone that he has sole permission on. Enoch Cree Nation has a nice little giant chunk out of the Bowzone where there's some super monster whitetails that live in there. He's got a great business that he's running right now. He's got clients pretty much full up this year. I'm guessing you have some pretty neat whitetails in that place right now.
Well, it's 20 square miles, so it's pretty hard for me to find them all. 25% of it is what I could probably cover. And in that 25%, I'm saying right now we have 4 or 5, 175 plus. And then the one that I showed you earlier, which I'm not going to show until I have him on the ground. That's definitely my target buck. I will definitely spend the hours on him.
It's breathtaking. I don't even know what I would do. Honestly, it's ridiculous. It's insane. It's too bad we can't show the photo, but we're not gonna. Maybe we will. Maybe I'll convince him to show the photo right now.
Gotta keep it together. Come on, Keith.
Anyways, so sitting beside giant whitetail slayer himself, Logan. Logan, I know you do your homework, and I'm sure Kemper and you have done some crazy stuff already to find some whitetails. So, what's up?
Now we're getting back into whitetails, and I'm super excited about it. We've been doing tons of work, and I've been doing lots of work on just moving cameras, trying to figure out their patterns. Been a few crop changes this year within the area, so that's affected their movement a little bit as well. And for whatever reason, like Mike ran into, a lot of the fields are being plowed under, so limited food source. Just got to see if I can get a pattern, and might have to bank on the rut when they're going crazy.
I personally have all my food sources are scarce. I have some in the bushes, but as soon as that goes away, it's gonna be, yeah, like Siberia.
That's what makes this show unique, to be honest, because we're not like the US. We don't have food plots set up all over the place. It's not, it's really wild. Like the Canadian wild is crazy because you get what you get, and every single year the Bowzone totally transforms. Like now, after 30 years of hunting in the Bowzone, I've got probably hundreds of sets of pegs everywhere, just because when the food source changes from this quarter to this quarter, you got to shift everything you're doing on the quarter you're on to like the other side of the quarter. Exactly. So you got to have setups everywhere. Nope. But it makes it unique. It makes it tough, makes it fun, right? Makes it really challenging. Anyway, Michelle, you've got a couple of cool spots rocking right now. Some big bucks. I saw some pictures of some nice whitetails. So
Some couple of decent whitetails, and just leading on what you were saying there about like my food sources changed slightly in the last month. So yeah, I'm slowly transitioning to a couple other spots that I have in mind for the rut, but in the same area. And yeah, hunting same spot as areas last year as well. But I put a lot of time and kind of homework in with just myself in this new spot that I got permission on this year. So it's just really exciting to see the new bucks that are going to be coming in during the rut. I feel like it's a good spot. So yeah, excited.
Yeah, that's great. Well, Scott, we actually pulled a hunt out of the archive a couple days ago. It was a 6x6 giant whitetail that just walks in to go hit a scrape and then perfectly turns, comes back into Scott's lane, puts its head behind the tree so it can't see him at all, and then, you know, boom, camera's on him. He makes an absolute perfect shot right through the lungs. Just 10 rings him. Like, I mean, it is awesome. And the deer stumbles this way, and if you look really close, it's a little bit graphic, but it's rad. Giant 6x6 on the ground in under a minute, right? It was it was really cool. So what's going on? You haven't actually got a Bowzone whitetail for a lot of years. So
It's been a long time.
This is going to be a fun season for you.
I've got quite a few bucks coming on camera, and they seem to be getting progressively bigger. So hopefully by the time we start filming for Bowzone Live, they turn into 180s and 190s. So we'll see if I can recreate that big 6x6 again.
Well, Heather and Kevin, you and Kevin are always into some fun stuff. I know there was a new permission. I think that was pretty exciting for both of you. You put all the time and energy into the stand, and then you're at the base of the stand, you're looking at it, you go up in the stand, you walk, you look around, feel really good about it, and then you get to go in for those first few sits, and it's like everything's new. Like, how do you beat that? You can't beat that.
No. You can't beat that. No, and that's, you sit for the first few times, and then you have deer come out, and then you realize if you're set up right or not based on movement, and you might make some tweaks. Hopefully we'll be set up perfectly and we'll get that shot done early instead of waiting till, I think it's 26th is my day, typically. Yeah. Somewhere around there that I seem to shoot. So
you like to punish yourself for like
yeah, I kind of go through the cold snaps up and down a little bit, but hopefully I can get it done a little earlier this year. That'd be good.
But that's a challenge, you know, whenever you pick up a new property, it's one thing to look at it and say, structurally this looks phenomenal. We're getting deer on camera, but even Heather and I the other day, we looked and we thought, okay, well, this looks like where we should be setting up, but once you hunt a property for 2, 3, 4 years, you start to realize, you know what? I was off by even 50 yards, even 100 yards, sometimes even 20 yards. And you got to reset. And then once you start to understand how the deer move, it's kind of incredible when you think about just how perfect things have to be.
Well, that'll be fun. I'm excited for you guys. There's bucks in that area that I actually know, so it'll be cool to see if some of those old mature bucks, I mean, that's what everybody's after, right? Is really, big deer are the bonus at the end of the day, but a mature whitetail, you know, the big indent in his forehead, you know, 5, 6, 7 years old. That's what everybody should be after at the end of the day, is just a mature whitetail, and then be happy with the chase and the hunt itself. And that's what we're all kind of going through right now, is the hunt part, which is the most fun. This is the beginning of Bowzone Live, which is the most fun. You've put in the energy and the time to do the hunt part of it, and then, you know, once everybody gets everything put together properly, then it's really just execute, and that comes in, like we talked about with Scott, it could be in 1 minute. So we could be talking to Heather tomorrow and she could have executed that 1 minute tonight. Like, we really don't know. So anyways, Sam, I don't know if you want to introduce yourself real quick, and then I want to hear about the bucks, because he's got like a full section in the Bowzone that's rocking and awesome, and I've seen some videos of some monster sheds coming out of the snow. So how do you get around? What are your thoughts, and what do you think is going to happen this year?
Well, I'm thinking it's going to be a good year. Well, every year that you can get out in the field is a good year. And I strictly hunt from blinds now, obviously, and over the years I've hunted the same property to the point now where I've got a really good handle on it. And I have an inventory of blinds. Every year I got to go and buy a few more because the moose trash them. Where I'm at, there's always a couple of moose that don't like them for whatever reason, or cameras. While I was chasing the moose around this year, I stumbled across a couple of big whitetails, and so I want to get up close and personal and get my eyes on them, you know, not just with the camera, but see them. Until you actually see them, it's really tough to judge, but I think one of them, he belongs in my home, so I'm hoping to give him a long-term home.
Well, I'll say this for sure. I'm not going to do any complaining about the cold or about how long I have to sit or how far I have to walk or any of these things. It's a lot tougher for you to get out there than for us. You know, you got an Argo machine, I think, that you've customized, and that gets you out to where you want to get into the blind. And then shootability, right? Like, you know, we can shoot up and down, and I believe you said earlier that you can just shoot on a flat plane, kind of straight ahead. So there's a lot of challenges there. So my hat's off to you for, you know, saying you want to be part of this. I think that's awesome, and humbling everybody in here, because the fact that you're getting out there and getting it done.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. Yeah, I have to put a lot of thought into where I'm going, how long I can stay. The weather is really important. The wind, all those things just become magnified when you once you're set up. It's not like it can just move. Oh darn, you know, the wind's changed. I'm pretty well there for a few hours, whether I like it or not. So yeah, I've got to really put some thought into it before I go out. The challenge is nothing that can't be overcome. If there's people out there that are watching the show or big fans of the show and might be in a position and a condition like I am, that think they can't do it, well, you can do it. You got to put some thought to it, be safe, and hopefully hunt with someone and let people know where you are, and have a partner. It really helps. I generally hunt by myself if I can, but to get set up I need help, and to come out I need help. So don't be afraid to ask a friend to go with you or to come with you. But anybody can do it. It's just get the right equipment and keep warm.
We've got some target bucks that are definitely going to be hunted really, really hard, but is anybody going to hang their hat on one deer? I know I am. I've got a whitetail that's really cool. I'm going to try to shoot him. There's actually two of them in this one area in a super funnel. We call it the death trap. Gunther and I set it up. It's really incredible. Gunther's not here right now because he had surgery last night on his back, and they pulled out like a chunk of really, it looks like an alien. And I got a picture of this huge whitetail last night, like at the same time, so I'm gonna call that deer the alien, I think, because Gunther helped me put the stand up and set the whole thing up. And the other deer's Splits. We've known him for 4 or 5 years. Is anybody else gonna hang their hat on a whitetail like that? I think, Logan, you were saying you might.
Yeah, you know, I swore that I wasn't going to do that again because chasing Ricky for 4 years absolutely took everything out of me, and I ate a lot of tags due to that. As much as I said I wasn't going to do it again, I think I'm there because of a deer named Charlie who's kind of blew up this year. I've known him for a super long time, very similar to the kind of the Ricky story. He's not that big, but he's still a great deer. And I don't know, for some reason I just like picking my target and going after it, but it's kind of driving me nuts already because I know I'm going to have to let a bunch of good ones walk.
Okay, well, we talked a little bit about target bucks, but I know that Keith probably has a target buck. I don't know if he will stay on his target buck. Do you sit on a super giant, or what are you going to do?
Well, he's a good buck for sure, and I'd like to get him, but it's going to be tough because there's a couple other really good bucks in that area. Like, how do you let a 180-inch deer walk by? That's the hardest part of, you know, if you want to kill the 200, you got to let the 180 go by, right? And like I said, that area right now, it's really hot. There's still feed, still green alfalfa. The second cut's still sitting there, so hopefully they don't touch that. And I'm pretty sure those deer shouldn't leave that area. There's lots of does in that area, so should be pretty good. I should get a shot at them.
Okay, so a big part of the show is making sure that we do everything ethically. We take ethical shots. We have a code of ethics. I mean, I don't know Kevin, if you have something you want to talk about real quickly or touch on that's really important to you.
Yeah, I think that the code of ethics that we have as a group and as a group of pretty serious bow hunters, that's important. But I will tell you this, ethics and etiquette, even in the Bowzone with other hunters and landowners and so forth, that's a really big thing. And I think it's worth talking about a little bit, because I know we've all had our own challenges, and I know in the Bowzone especially, everything from trespassing to baiting to all kinds of different things. I mean, I could tell you stories forever about things that I think are very unethical, and I know we all deal with our own challenges that way. I know Logan's had his issues too.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'd like to reiterate that too. I mean, it's not only your personal ethics that you're bringing to the field, but if you see another hunter out there, give them that common courtesy. If they were there first, or if you can work together and work something out that it works for both parties. I mean, that's what it's all about. We don't want to be messing up our fellow hunter because, just out of greed or out of spite or out of something like that. We want to work together. I mean, at the end of the day, it's the hunters that have the other hunters back, and we're all in this together, so we should be on the same team. So it's important to keep in mind.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that we all really deal with, some of us are on bigger properties, where there's lots and lots of bush. Some are on very small pieces. Some are, that's the nature of the Bowzone. We're often hunting near development. So sometimes near acreage developments, sometimes closer to farms and that sort of thing. And there's other challenges with that, everything from people walking dogs to, I know some of you guys have had those experiences, and to people riding dirt bikes, people riding quads, ATVs. Trespassing is becoming more of an issue for sure.
The biggest thing that I'm taking away this year is really trying to be dedicated to that 40-yard shot. So that 40-yard, broadside shot, quartering away shot. Like, I'm not going to be shooting anything further than that. I really have shot most whitetails at 20, 25 yards. It's never been really any further than 40 anyway. So just making that rule, I think will help with, real good, clean kills. Practicing, we've all got great broadheads, great equipment. And so we know that the equipment's going to do the job, right? But then it's also up to us to make sure that we take those shots that make sense.
The big thing is to understand that while these bows are capable of shooting longer distances, and a lot of us practice out to 70, 80, 90 yards, hoping for those 20, 30-yard chip shots. But the reality is that whitetails, especially big whitetails, they can jump a string pretty quick. And when they drop, anything past 30 is a sketchy call.
If they're looking at you especially.
We try real hard to keep our shots under 30.
I actually really don't turn my bow up ever anymore. It's always low, right? I shoot elk and moose and whatever else with low poundage, and make sure that I dress up with the gear that I'm going to wear and make sure that it's still hitting in the same place. Like, just shooting a lot, really. It's always my biggest thing, right, is practice. And then if you get a chance, take out kids, take out young people. We want to make sure that they have a great place to hunt. We want to make sure that the sport of bow hunting continues, and that really will stem from our code of ethics and making sure that we stick to it and making sure that it's there so that we can hand it down to them. So I think that's probably the most important part of the code of ethics, to make sure that it's handed down.
Well, I think it's important too, like, one of the biggest demographics we all know is women in hunting, and I think there's a lot of emphasis on poundage, and for women, upper body isn't our strongest muscles.
Same with Mike.
So I think it's important for us to know as women that we can shoot elk and we can shoot moose and that stuff. We don't have to pull the big poundage. The bows nowadays, the kinetic energy with those bows is high. So if you pull 40 pounds, 45 pounds, you can still shoot an animal, but placement is key. And so you have to understand the anatomy of the animal, and you have to understand it from different directions. One of the best things Kev ever taught me, and I know I said this last year, was think exit. So what angle do I need to hit that deer to take out vitals and be the most ethical shot? And my goal is that the arrow exits behind the shoulder, so I get a bigger blood trail. But if it hits into that far shoulder, it's still okay, as long as I've taken out vitals en route.
I'm going to actually lower my poundage, and that's something I'm starting to do. Come November, I'm going down 3 to 4 pounds, and that's a product of getting older.
Maybe getting older makes you smarter, because that's a smart thing to do. Most people won't go through I'm going to say bull mental beat of resetting your sight and having to just tweak some things. But I'll tell you what, it's way easier to shoot a bow with a low poundage. It's easier to shoot it. It's easier to hit the target.
Like, everybody thinks speed is everything, and that's not true. The more speed you're pushing and faster you're pushing an arrow out of a bow, the more one little mistake, one little movement, one little tweak the wrong way with your hand, with your release hand or with your bow hand, it multiplies that mistake, we'll call it, by 10 or 20 times.
The first time I learned that was in Africa. I ended up having to use Heather's bow. Something was wrong with mine. Couldn't get it fixed, and I shot an oryx, which is equivalent of a bull elk in terms of body mass. And that arrow just buried right into that oryx. And you're right, your accuracy becomes that much better, your kinetic energy is great.
Yeah,
but take
you
it
become
full
a better
circle,
archer.
Once you have that accuracy and you have that comfort where you can draw it easier, hold it easier, shot placement is everything. And your shot placement will be that much better.
Okay, so we do have a conservation officer right here sitting with us. What do you see, let's say, as a rule in Alberta for issues when hunting season comes around?
That's an easy one for me. Considering the areas where I've worked and where I live now, the biggest complaint that we receive is trespassing. It's people on quad, you guys hit it right, quadders, even people that are just unaware that they're even trespassing. People walking their dogs, people riding their horses. All these things affect legal hunting. If somebody, we all know how much work you have to put in to keep relations with landowners, and you go through all that trouble, and then you think you've got your area all set up, and then you didn't take into consideration the dirt bikers that are going through, and yeah, that's an easy one. In other places, public land where there's less people, that's less of a concern. But you get around the urban areas that the Bowzone particularly, that's your number one problem. A lot of people think that, okay, it's bow hunters or hunters are the problem. It's not hunters. Hunters typically, they go through and ask permission. They know what the consequences are if they don't. But it's all these other people that don't bother. They don't respect the landowner's rights. You have to acknowledge that they for a short time have the responsibility of looking after that land, and we have to honor that.
Welcome back to Bowzone Live, presented by Annihilator Broadheads. You're watching the Season 3 preview episode. If you're just joining us now, we grabbed all of our hunters and had them chat by the fire to discuss the upcoming season. Let's rejoin the gang right now.
So everyone here has filmed a little bit. We're October 22nd and we've had some things happen. I know I've had some really interesting stuff happen. In one of my favorite spots, we had a cougar sighting about a mile away. And then one of the great big mature whitetails that I was scouting and getting photos of and looking forward to seeing and hunting, he was killed in this crazy scene. It could have been coyotes, it could have been the cougar, but it was like a gut punch, and I still don't know what killed it, but it could have quite possibly been a cougar in the Bowzone, which is kind of crazy. But let's go around. I know, Daryl, you had some awesome stuff go down. We've kind of touched on that. Taylor, have you filmed anything yet?
Well, so far I had a mule deer, so I shot a nice big antlered mule deer in velvet, and then I got a bull elk in September as well. And then I've only sat for whitetails 3 or 4 times, but each sit they've been pretty good. I've had one sit where I had 3 bucks right under my stand. Nothing I wanted to shoot, but definitely have got some pretty good footage so far.
Awesome, awesome. Mike?
Yeah, I haven't sat too much for whitetails, but ones I've had a few like does and fawns walk past the stand, and then last night sitting I had a nice buck and a little spiker come out, and the little spiker hit the licking branch and scrape about 30 yards from my stands.
You got video of a buck scraping already?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. You're way ahead of the curve. Good job.
It's a spiker.
Good job.
Something.
If anybody here kills a monster whitetail, or a big mature whitetail, I should say, I hope it's Mike, because he deserves it. He's been working really hard to try and kill a nice big whitetail for a lot of years now, so it's his time. Sure. And you know what he's going to need to do? He's going to have to get Adam Hayes' Moon Phase app because it's a great sponsor. It's really cool to have Adam Hayes sponsor this Bowzone live show. I know he comes to Bowzone and hunts it, but Mike, we're going to get your phone hooked up. You're going to have the Moonphase app, and you can follow it, and I think it's going to help because it actually is really cool. So if you haven't seen it or checked it out, I would go check it out on your phone right now in the App Store, download it. It's a secret weapon, that's for sure. Keith, I know you just got back from working, so you're just here just today from work. I don't know if you've had a chance.
I did get a big... I crushed a big elk and got it all on film. Came right down the mountain. You could hear him. I barely hear him the first bugle. Halfway, second bugle, third bugle, he came in. 13 cows came in, and he came in on a string 45 yards.
What'd you green score that thing at?
Well, the taxidermist said he's 380.
Oh my gosh. Michelle, have you had a chance to film or pick up the camera yet in the early season?
I don't know. I've been out a handful of times, not so much in the last couple of weeks, but yeah, I got some video of 2 bucks kind of sparring in the field. Got some videos of does and younger bucks and stuff like that. But yeah, some decent video.
Scott?
Got does.
Scott?
Been out a couple of times. I've got...
have you been out with your camera in the field yet?
I've got does on, just a bunch of does on camera. And I've got probably 7 or 8 stands up already and two ground blinds up, so...
So nothing major as far as
no, nothing
filming.
major yet.
Haven't turned the camera on
but
yet,
I
but
can
that's cool.
smell it coming.
Well, we'll see what Scott does.
You can smell what the Scott is cooking.
I don't know if he's going to cook, what he's going to cook. It's going to be some kind of muffins or something. I know you guys are always filming. I know that you had an antelope draw. I think you got your antelope. No, you didn't get your antelope.
I didn't get my antelope.
Instead, Kevin killed an elk.
He did. I told him to go. So I had close opportunity. It's not that I couldn't have shot an antelope. I just didn't get a crack at the one I wanted. I had some that I'm sure were over 80 inches that I was chasing, and got very close, but just couldn't quite close it. So.
So I have a new spot this year, so I haven't really had a change of placement in my stands, but I was just curious if anyone else has ever, or this year has changed their stands based on, because like the food sources have changed this year. If you were situated in the bush last year and now you're closer to the food, like have you changed your spots at all?
Personally, I would, Michelle, but I don't have any food around me at all. So no matter where I go, it's still going to be a guessing game.
Has that changed for you this year though, with traffic at all?
Yes, yeah, it has. It's changed.
And I think it was mentioned before too. I think Ryan said just have lots of spots, and that's something that I've been finding out the hard way this year. I mean, because the food around my locations has changed so much, I found that I can't just bank on having 4, 5, 10 stands. I mean, you have to have a lot of spots at least ready to go. Versatile.
And you don't mean spots, like because not every hunter can have 10 spots. I mean, I've been hunting the Bowzone for 30 years. That's why I have 5, 6 spots, right? But actual pegs in trees, stand locations.
Exactly. Because instead of the west side of the quarter, they might be more on the north or the east or whatever direction. So you just got to keep on doing your homework and get as close as you can.
And I think that's in the last few years that I've been using is climbing stands.
Yeah.
And it's so easy just to come down, move 50 yards away,
Or a set of lone wolf sticks
go back
in a
up.
stand.
Mm-hmm.
I always, whenever I have clients in camp, I always have a couple extra sets of sticks and stands sitting there. And it's nice having those extra set of eyes too, right before I go out, right? Because now I know exactly where everything's happening by the time it's time for me to hunt, right?
But while the weather's decent right now, if you have only a handful of stands, and that's fine. But if you go and you prep a few more trees, that just gives you that option when the later season comes and it's cold and you don't have to go do all that work, and all of a sudden a trail turns from kind of a secondary trail to a primary trail.
Yeah.
Then you can move over and it's quick and easy.
I'm limited with my spots or like the amount of stands I have, the amount of cameras, but like Logan was saying, like you can go peg more trees and you can move your stands. I was in the mindset that, I had to have all these stands and I don't. I can just move, the 2 or 3 that I have too. So
that's one good thing about learning from Jim Hole.
Yeah.
Peg everything.
Yeah, when I was heavy into outfitting, I'd have 60 trees pinned, cleared, and then the boys would just carry their own stands in, right?
I learned from Jim.
Yeah, that's a real good system like that. And nobody ever steals your stands either, right?
I hang my stand every time I sit. No matter what the weather is, I sit in my stand. I hang it every time I sit, and that's personally just what I do. But yeah, it opens up so much more doors for you. You don't have to have so much more equipment either.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the funnest part of this time of year. I mean, what probably most people that are watching this show really want to hear about, and that's the deer, the whitetails, the star of the show. The best part of Bowzone Live are the animals. I mean, today a lot of the people here, and it's October 22nd, are seeing some of those big bucks moving through funnels. They're seeing big bucks on scrapes, and that's really what it's all about. It's starting to feel like that time of year. I'm feeling it. I know those big bucks are going to feel it too because they're going to start moving. It's really exciting. So what's your favorite part? Like rattling? I love rattling. It's, you know, almost October 25th. That's when I pick the horns up. Sometimes if I know there's lots of bucks in the area, I'll even rattle earlier. But what really gets you going?
The cold weather.
You like
cold
it?
weather gets me going, yeah. My favorite part of it is rattling. I really like rattling. It's pretty neat.
Yeah, no, I love rattling. I like bringing bucks in on the horns is amazing.
Absolutely.
What about you, Taylor?
I always just love the first snow. Like I watch the weather. I have too many weather apps. I just like for that first, same thing, that first cold snow. I always think it's going to be the best in this, but sometimes honestly, you see your deer when it's +5. You know, you think you have that perfect -15 day, the fresh snow, and you just think you're getting your buck and you see nothing, right? And then it ends up being on a day where it's kind of raining and +5 a week later. But I always anticipate that's the start. And obviously right now you're starting to see, I've just noticed driving to work when I see deer, you see their necks now all of a sudden. Like you can immediately be like, that's a buck. Like you don't even have to look. And that's kind of when I start getting excited now because you know it's starting. Mike, what about you?
What's the flavor?
I like the smell you get in the fall. Like just like the leaves are down, you're starting to get that like the cold and it's just like that fall smell, and you're walking through the woods in the mornings and stuff like that, and being able to see them coming from a lot further away now, before it's like they just bust through the brush and like, oh, you're right here. But like actually watching them start coming down the trail, and it's scrape time. Watching them lay down scrapes is always cool.
You get the snow now on the ground soon, not here today yet, but it's coming, and then you can really see them, right? You can see through the trees, you can see them moving. There's nothing better than a big, huge chocolate horn, mature whitetail coming through the trees with snow on the ground, just kind of meandering through the poplars, coming to a grunt, coming to your stand. Your hands start shaking. You got to turn the heated vest on just a little bit to calm you down. Get ready, you know, and then execute. Keith, what's your favorite part?
Same thing, probably cold weather. I'm a big planner, so I kind of plan almost, it's ridiculous because I make this big plan where I'm going to hunt every day and check the moons and all that, and then when it comes I just forget everything and I go crazy and just chase them.
What about you, Logan?
I think Taylor touched on what I like the best. I just like the physical aspect of the white-tailed deer itself because, like you said, they're getting big. They're getting those thick necks, no more velvet, just the winter hairs coming in and coming in solid. They're not patchy. There's nothing cooler than a big white-tailed deer, I think. So I'm pumped to see some. And definitely there's some sign that's popping up out there. I don't have actually a ton on my spots yet, but it's any day it's going to blow wide open, and I'm excited.
Michelle?
Kind of all the same thing. Like you were mentioning with the snow, I love, you know, after a fresh snowfall, walking in and seeing fresh sign on a new scrape after a snowfall, or even seeing snow on top of Buck's head when he's walking in, or just a change in temperature, you know, like it's going to be a good morning. And this morning I lightly rattled. I was talking with Jim and he was saying Taylor lightly rattled this morning, little 4x4 came in.
That one for mid-November, just to get it on camera.
Yeah, I lightly rattled a couple times this morning. So just the change and knowing that everything's kind of slowly transitioning and coming, you know, we're just progressing into the rut. It's fun, it's exciting.
Sam, it's a little, I mean, we're in the stand, so it's different for us, but what is something that really brings you into hunting season where you just get sucked into the vortex of whitetails and everything is all whitetails every day for you? What tips it off?
I think for me, you know, I've been at it for a long time. It always gets to me when the leaves drop, and a sense of quietness, the outdoors changes. All the people that aren't serious outdoors people, they go away. They go into their homes and their apartment. It's too cold now. Only the true hard outdoorsmen and outdoors women are left out there, and that's the big change. And then the deer, whitetails now, you're dealing with a different animal. Now you're talking about a big, muscular, strong, testosterone-filled animal, and it's a whole different ball game. I really look forward to that. The scrapes start showing up all around you, and the food sources are limited, and they have to eat more, and they start to be visible more. It's nice to see them.
Scott, what do you got?
Yeah, again, I think we all do this for the same reasons. The pursuit of an amazing animal, one that's very hard to harvest, especially mature bucks. The solitude, the ability we can actually start calling and rattling now, start bringing the deer in. But I mean, it's like a fraternity of bow hunters. I mean, we all do this for all of the same reasons, and it's amazing to bring this many people together with the quality and the abilities that everybody here has. So I think this is going to be an amazing season this year.
Kevin and Heather?
I think it really hits me when I'm walking in at 5 o'clock in the morning by myself and you've had that fresh snow and it's just quiet because there's no crunching. It hasn't, melted and thawed and then hardened up again. So it's so quiet. And then the other thing that gets me is when you start seeing the scrape lines and the bucks are going on the scrape lines, and then when you rattle or you see young bucks sparring, it's really fun to watch a buck push each other up and down a hill. I've seen that at 80 yards and it's pretty incredible.
We wait 335 days for this to start. And then we've got 30 days of potential mayhem. And for me, it's, watching and listening to a buck crunching the leaves as he's walking in, or completely the opposite. Dead silence in the powder as a giant whitetail. He's pushing snow with his feet. I mean, that's just the coolest thing ever.
Yeah,
There's nothing that compares to that. And then to be able to get a shot, that's it,
Or they're raking their antlers in the licking branches.
Sure.
That's pretty cool.
I guess I'll leave you with this. Is one of the coolest moments is getting in the stand in the morning. It's still dark, light's just coming up, and then you hear a grunt. And you go, yeah, this is going to be good.
Or a clack.
You hear a grunt, and then just a little bit of walking. So you're in the game. This is the end of the show. Thanks for watching our first roundtable of Season 3 of Bowzone Live. Stay tuned. In a couple days, you're going to be able to watch everybody hunting, and hopefully we're going to shoot some big, mature whitetails.
A big thank you to Ryan and all of our hunters for doing that fireside chat. Clearly, they are excited to get going right here on Bowzone Live Season 3. Next episode, when you join us, you'll notice things have changed weather-wise, a drastic change. It's gotten a lot colder. However, things in the stand are just heating up. Our hunters will be in the field next episode, so be sure to join us as Season 3 kicks off here on Bowzone Live, presented by Annihilator Broadheads.
Annihilator presents Bowzone Live is brought to you by Annihilator Broadheads and these fine sponsors.